Hello everybody, this is Carol from Friendly Quill. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. If you're one of my regulars, I'm glad you're back. I'm glad you're all spending some time with me today, which is Tuesday, so it's try something new. And I was watching a video the other day, and the video was mainly about something I'd also like to do, try something new Tuesday on. It was making glassine out of napkins, which I really like the idea and I want to try it, but excuse me, drink a little tea here. Sorry about that. But there was something else that she showed that I decided I wanted to try. And that was how she cut this without having this clear, to put I put acetate behind it, how she cut that in order to be able to put the acetate in so you have a see-through window. And I thought it was such a neat idea that I needed to try that right away. And I don't know if I do this, maybe you can see it. You draw on the back the size you want with the border size you want and everything. And then you use your punch. I used a 3/4 inch punch, and you punch so that the punch goes just to these lines and you get a circle, and then you can go back in and cut from the arch, from this to this, and you end up with it cut out. And that is nifty. I have tried so many different ways to cut out squares without using my Sizzix, because I don't like the way that those squares look for something like this. So I end up drawing it and trying to cut it out, and I never could get those nice corners, and this was so slick. So I decided that I'm going to show you how to do that. So I'm taking this picture right here, and this is a Tim Holtz piece of ephemera. And the reason I put it on a card, a piece of cardstock that's a 1/4 inch bigger all the way around, because I don't want to cut off his head when I use my when I make the hole. I cut a piece of acetate the same size as this, so that gives me a 1/4 inch, because the hole is only going to be like this big, as big as this picture. So I cut a piece of acetate that same size. Then what I did is I cut 2 pieces of cardstock, and notice it's less on this side because I'm going to do a 3/4 inch border. This will be glued down here, and I want this to kind of come up near the top, and I'm only going to cut a 1/2 inch border up here. So it'll be easier to understand once you see it, but that's kind of what I'm doing. I decided a 3/4 inch, well, it becomes a 1/2 inch, but I originally measured this as 3 by 5. So I cut it 6 inches by 4.5. So 3 plus 1.5, which gave me a 1/4 inch on each side, but I'm using part of it up for that. And 5 3/4 on the bottom, or a 1/2 inch on the bottom, 1/2 inch on the top, probably somewhere around like that. So I'm going to figure out how to make my hole. I'm using my Tim Holtz ruler because it's clear, and I can line this up with 3/4 inch. And I'm going to do the same thing on this side. 3/4 inch. Okay, and I know, let's make this the top. This I want only a 1/2 inch. I'm just drawing a line so it crosses and I can see where that is. Now, if I measure this, yeah, I need a 1/2 inch on the bottom as well. Actually, I'm going to do 3/4. Because I'm going to be gluing down there too. So when this goes in, it'll go down like this. That's basically what I'm wanting it to do. So I've got that amount around the whole thing. And a little bit less on the top. Okay? So what you do next is you roughly cut out the center. I'm not cutting all the way up to the edge. I'm cutting about 1/4 of an inch in. Maybe a little more, like 3/8. And I'm just roughly cutting it out. It doesn't have to be precise because we're going to be cutting it precisely after. Okay, so now I have a rough cut edge. Now what I'm going to do, here is my pencil line and here's my pencil line. I'm going to use my punch and I'm going to slide it in here. And I'm looking for that line. And then I back up till I am at the edge on both sides of that. So I can't see the line. Whoa, it flew right at me. So I have a line here and here. I didn't get it quite as tight up to here, so you know, you kind of take that care of that when you cut the rest of it out. So I'm going to do that on all 4 corners. Looking for that line. All right. Let me get that one close enough. I'm gonna take a little more off. Better. All right. This was a little harder to do on the small piece that I did, but I was able to do it. So I kind of stuck it inside and worked around with it. Okay, I gotta see where the line is. That one's good. It seems like I can't talk and find that line at the same time. There we go. So now it looks a little bit like a dog bone. Okay. And now the magic. I'm going to use this one. I'll do it on this white. You might be able to see it better since this is black. I'm going to line this up. I'm going to put you over here. And I think I'm going to bring you down a little bit. There. I'll have to remember to put it back up because sometimes I don't. I'm looking for the edge of this circle right here, and I'm going to line up the edge of the circle with the edge of the circle. And then I'm going to cut this part off. Okay. So now we have this line here, and we have that nice curve. All right, do the next one. I just thought this was really cool. You know what? I don't like that. I didn't get close enough to that edge. So I'm going to go back in and fix it. Okay. Basically what you want to be doing is cutting along the line that you drew. So I've got 2 of them done. Now I'm just doing this. I wanted this for the wedding journal that I'm working on. Gosh. It went so easy when I didn't do it on camera. That's better. And I'm almost done. One more. Okay. So now I have that nice border with the cutout. And now it's time to put, wherever I put it, this in. So this is going to get glued onto here now with, you know, it's got an edge here. So I'm going to use my art glitter glue. I'm going to actually put it on the acetate. Oh, that's not the one I want. I'm trying to use up the rest of this. I'm going to just go right along the edge of the acetate. I think this acetate is from a transparency, the kind you would write on, so it's a little thicker. I don't even think they use those much anymore now that they have the overhead projector type things and all that. Like when I was teaching the last years that I taught, now I've got that on there. I'm going to cut a little notch in here. I think I want a nice shallow one, but wide. This is my top. Eyeballing. There we go. And now I'm going to ink this. So anyway, when I was teaching, you know, we used to have to write things on an overhead. And I had a roll of stuff that I would, because then if someone was absent, oh, I should have done the inside of this before I glued that on. I'll just kind of put some on it because there's a white edge right there. Anyway, I would write, if I had wanted the kids to take notes or something, I would write it on an overhead. And then I would roll it to the next part, and that way it was still there, so when kids were absent, they could come back and they could copy the notes off the overhead. And then by the time I left, I was putting everything up on a projection screen. So very different. I mean, when I started teaching, to make copies, we had mimeograph. We had to type it on a special thing. And then you had that purple ink. And you had to, like, turn a crank for each one you wanted to do. So if I wanted 60 copies of something, I had to turn the crank 60 times. And the purple stuff was like, every time you turn the crank, it would re-ink the mimeograph. So really changed a lot in the time that I was teaching. Okay, oh, I'm going to do this one too. I hope I did this right. Let me put this under here. Yep, that's going to be good. Okay. Kids changed a lot too. They didn't want to work. I did a lot of hands-on things because it made it a little bit easier to keep their attention. But, you know, they still had certain things. They had to learn how to write a 5-paragraph expository essay, which is not the same as creative writing, where you try to really get their attention, you know, and all that. You had to give an introductory paragraph where you tell them what you're going to tell them, and then you had 3 paragraphs that you were telling them, and then you had an end that was okay, this is what we just did, and it is kind of boring. But they had to learn how to do that. For social studies, that was one of the things we had to do. All right, now what I'm going to do is, this will be going into here, like this. gonna do a little bit of gluing. Well, I grabbed my other one again. I should put it on the other side of the place here. I want to make sure that there's enough room for this to slide in, because when you do it like this, you don't have a gusset or anything. So it kind of is a little harder to put in and out. You could make it with a gusset if you wanted to. But I didn't. I just thought I'll give myself a little more space for it to slide in. All right. So there's the pocket, and I'm going to, let's see, I'm going to put, I cut out a whale tail, and I'm going to put it on, but here it is. I don't want to hide a head, so I'm going to kind of put it over to the side like this. Get that on, and then we'll be done. Except for I have to put some antique linen on the back because it's white. All right. This is cut out of cardstock. All right. And this I don't know if the glue's dry, but there we go. And there is our pocket without having to use excuse me, I'm trying to get my pin back in here. Okay, I forgot to put you back up. I meant to do that. See, I forget. But here we go. This is what it looks like. Pull it out. You've got that acetate in here. I'm going to put it back in. Now when I made the little one, I'm going to make sure that that's just perfectly put in. When I made the little one, I only had 1/2 inch on the sides, for all the sides. And, you know, it's a little bit harder to get in, but it works. I'm going to put some decorations on here. And one of the things I'm going to put on is this on the side. Eat. What do I want on this side or this side? Eat, Drink, and Be Scary, because one of the things that they both love, Matt and Zoe are their names, is that they love like those scary horror movie type things. And so I decided that this would be a nod to that. I'm going to put it on this side because this is over here. That's my nod to their horror movies. Eat, Drink, and Be Scary. And I'm going to put something down here too. Where do I have... my... Okay. This says Be Very Afraid. I'm going to put that on too. And I'm going to look for something to put down here too. A little thing. But I'm going to let you go for now. It's been a half an hour almost. So this is Try Something New Tuesday. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye. Don't forget, do something you love every day. It's the secret to happiness.